I'm incredibly lucky and humbled to be able to look at some of the best houses in Brisbane. And every now and then there's one that comes along that really excites me. And essentially I think this is a collector's item for the future. This is an original Donovan Hill house, designed by Timothy Hill, with the lead architect under him being Michael Hogg. We're fortunate enough today that Michael, who has his own practice now, Hogg and Lamb, will speak to us about the house, talk to us about the nuances, the intricate details and the thought process that goes into creating these incredibly bespoke homes.
One of the great things is once you hit the front door here, you get to see all the way down to the end of the property through to the pool.
Also incredible airflow, like you always feel a breeze every time I've been here. We're in a very original Donovan Hill design, designed by Timothy Hill, and you were the project architect at the time. This is some 20 years ago.
20 years ago, yeah.
Very much a collectible art piece, if you will. The work of Donovan Hill and the practice was incredible at the time, and there's a legacy across Brisbane, and especially with the readaptation of how they've worked with Queenslanders and the environment. In speaking to Timothy about this house and his design philosophy is that he views the house as a city and the city as a house.
Yeah.
So can you kind of just explain what that means?
Timothy would often talk about projects that were kind of public city scale projects in a way that they could be seen as a house, and then also looking at houses in a way that they can be seen as a little miniature version of the city.
So the micro and the macro, and
Yeah.
then sort of crossing over between the two.
Yeah, so this house, for example, it's got places that you might think of as a public square where people can come together, such as the outdoor room here and the back courtyard, large-scale public rooms, such as the living room and dining room, which is something that's a bigger scale than most of the other rooms and is a place where everybody in the household can get together at once. And then the houses also have places that you can retreat from those public spaces into your own little private realm.
If you needed a fourth bedroom or the flexibility of a fourth bedroom, you could also probably do something like what they've got in those terraces in Sydney, in the sort of the master room and the lounge room. You could put a folding wall across here, or you could reinstate another room. It's one of those things where the beauty of this house is that if you did want a big formal dining room dinner party, you've got the space. If you want a formal sitting area by the fire, you got it. If you want a cozy fire spot, you've got it. I mean, you're just spoilt for choice. These little doors that Timothy did, bit of a signature of Donovan Hill, wasn't it? It's about interacting with the architecture, isn't it? It's about not just being one big open plan and having a bit of a
Yeah, and it's a beautiful proportions, because this door is so narrow, you really notice how tall it is.
The way that the master has its own lounge room, and the connectivity between that and the town hall and the town squares to the rest of the house is really quite cool, and gives a huge amount of flexibility on the floor plan.
The plan is very flexible and adaptable because it is really like a little miniature version of the city, and cities really have everything that you need. So
Yes.
this is a little miniature version that gives you everything that you need.
This is a great little room. It's sort of off the kitchen. If you're a couple, you're not doing the cooking, someone can do the cooking for you. You can sit here by the fire.
There's a lot of places in this house.
And that skylight's pretty cool, isn't it? The way it kind of descends down over the island bench.
Yeah, and that's where you get the blue of the sky with the blue of the tiles.
These are very special. I think that they're a bit like art.
This house is one of a collection of houses that were done around the same time in New Farm. There's D House, Z House, this house.
I actually really love the symmetry of the pool being in the middle of the block.
The pool is really like an extension of the hallway. That orange line that runs down the edge of the seat is
Yes.
in the middle of the hallway. It just kind of extends that axis.
Yeah, right. That's one of the great things about these houses, and that's why I always love speaking to the architects about it, because there's always so much intent, and we don't often know what the story is behind it, and then you kind of understand what the story is and you go, that makes sense. It's about not just doing the same thing over and over again. It's about adapting to the site. It's about adapting to the climate.
This is really a kind of continuous space that spans over 3 levels.
There's a lot of view from this house, but what's enjoyable about it is that you're given little snip of its here and there. It's not just exposed. It's kind of like, here's a view, here's a view, here's a new view.
New Farm is a great suburb, but one of the things that it has to face is the city is facing west. So one of the things that this house does is try to control the openings to the city so that you can see the view, but it's not getting completely overrun by the sun.
Actually, one of the interesting things, and in all Donovan Hill houses, is there's always a real contraction in the hallways, isn't there?
Yeah. In most of the Donovan Hill houses, there are places that are very elaborate and big.
Yes.
And then there are places that are small and kind of secondary. But then once you're out of the hallway into the main room, it's like
Generous.
a real expansion.
While this tower sort of stands here and it's quite dominant, at the same time, because it kind of pulls into the landscape, it doesn't feel like it's overpowering you. I mean, this is my favourite elevation of the house, and I love the juxtaposition.
One of the things about the courtyard or garden at the back here is it's got a lot of qualities of an internal space. So it does have a sense of enclosure. The ground was made so that it was completely flat, which makes it a lot more usable than if you have a backyard with a sloping ground.
I think this is the ultimate pool party house. I mean, we've got a 15-metre pool. It's got a 15-metre ledge along there. You've got garden on either side. You've got a barbecue area, dining area, this outdoor lantern, which looks spectacular at night. It's super cool. It's almost like a public art installation. So there's so many things about this house which are incredibly enjoyable. It all works. The amount of consideration and effort that has been put into every single inch of this house is mesmerizing. I'm really, really fortunate to be able to sell it.